How you doing? My name's Harlow Zan and I'm a guest today on Adi Shankar's amazing Bootleg Universe. We have covered everything from the decline of Western civilization to the nature of enlightenment, why music might be superior to film and any other art form, and 100 other amazing things, and shared a lot of secrets. So buckle up.
Today we have a very special guest, one of my oldest friends in the city of Los Angeles. His name's Hal Ozsan. He started off as a rock star. He crushed it as a rock star. Then he transitioned into acting, and again, great actor. Love the emotional honesty he's able to bring into any role, even the smallest roles. He played Dawson in Guardians of Justice, and now Hal's also a screenwriter. And he crushes it as a screenwriter. I've read a lot of the things he's written. And it's an honor to call him a friend. You started off as a rock star, right?
A musician?
Well, you're a rock star.
Well, that's generous, but thank you.
I'm going to literally cut this with photos of you from that era. You were a rock star. You still are a rock star.
Well, thank you.
You embodied rock stardom 24/7 back then, right?
Thank you, man.
What was that transition like to acting professionally? And the reason I'm asking is there's a bravado that you were able to embody during your rock star period, right? And even though acting seems glamorous to the outside world, there's a lot of waiting around, not being in control, and being told what to do.
Totally.
Right?
And a lot of no's.
A lot of no's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your question is, how did I transition from one
what
to the
was
other?
what was that, and what was that like? What did that feel like at the time?
I'll be honest though, right? My only superpower is that I've got really big balls, metaphorically speaking. I genuinely don't give a fuck what 99% of people have to say. Don't believe the odds. I couldn't give a shit if someone tells me something's improbable or impossible. If I want to do something, I'll fucking do it. Live or die. That's my only superpower. And it's the reason I was able to be in a band that had a record deal and become a working actor when I'd never been to fucking drama school or taken an acting class in my life at that point. It's the reason why I've been able to sell scripts as a screenwriter, because I'm like, I'm a fucking screenwriter. I can do this, right? It's just massive bollocks. Is my superpower. And all the shit that you were just saying about acting is true about literally any business. Specifically the entertainment business, but any business. There are more no's than yeses. Everybody's telling you it can't be done. You've experienced this. Everyone tells you it can't be done. Everyone says to you, well, why should you be the one that gets it done when there are 10,000 other people to do it? And I think the only difference between doing it and not doing it is intending to do it. It's fucking Yoda going, do or do not. There is no try.
All right, I'll give it a try.
No, try not. Do or do not. There is no try.
And I think you've probably experienced that firsthand too, right? How are you a senior in college being an actual professor and teaching instead of being a fucking student? Because you decided you should, you could, and you did.
Yeah. I also, at that time, and I still have some of that in me, although it's kind of chilled way down, chilled way out.
Well, you've also achieved pretty much everything you've ever set your mind to. I mean, there's not many more things to aspire to and achieve in your particular field. You've done it. You've had the #1 movies. You've had the #1 TV shows. You completely turned the whole business on its head and went, well, I'm going to shoot multi-million-dollar bootleg movies that I'm going to put on YouTube for free. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You did literally all of it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story, right? I was about 5 years old, And my elementary school was across the street from my dad's shop. My dad had dry cleaners, right? So every morning we'd go to the shop, he'd make me a cup of tea and a slice of toast, and he'd walk me across the street to my elementary school. Right, it was our little morning routine. One day we showed up and the storefront was all smashed in and there were swastikas sprayed all over the walls. And there were these 4 or 5 skinheads in there, neo-Nazis. And they go, "Oi, Paki, give us your fucking money." Now, 2 things. Paki is a racial slur for Pakistani. My family's Turkish, right? Racists are not bright people. And the second thing is that my dad is outnumbered 4 to 1, 5 to 1. He's got his 5-year-old kid with him. He's in his 40s. These are all young men in their 20s, probably tooled up with, you know, knuckle dusters and switchblades and whatever else. Any normal man would have been like, absolutely, take my money. There you go. So sorry. My dad is a fucking lunatic. Goes, all right, stay there. Walks me to the broom closet, puts me in it, says, stay there. Grabs an iron bar, beats the living shit out of all 5 of them. Like a Liam Neeson movie, right? Like, come here, crack, come here, crack. Kicks the shit out of him. As the last one scrambling to leave, he throws this skinhead against the wall, puts the bar to his throat and says, "If you ever come back to my neighborhood, I cut your throat and drink your blood." Like fucking ruthless, right? And then he comes to me, I'm shitting myself. He comes to me in the closet and he goes, "A coward dies every day." Now, there are 2 lessons I learned from that. Number 1, don't fuck with my old man, right? Never talk back again. If he says, do your homework, do your fucking homework, right? And number 2, this notion he had is what I think I learned this lesson, that like the only difference between doing it and not doing it is intending to get it fucking done. Because statistically, he should have been in a coffin at the end of that. He's not, you know, the guy's 5'6". Do you know what I mean? He's not like, you know, built like Frank Bruno or something.
For sure. The other thing that's interesting about that is
I don't know why I picked Frank Bruno as a reference. He's a boxer who literally got the shit kicked out of him every fight, but there you go.
Hal, you're also the ultimate individualist.
I am. I'm a rugged individualist.
Yeah. I guess that's where I was going with the transition from, you know, rock and roll. Get it. Totally get it. Rock and roll, right? Music is kind of an individualist art form.
Sure.
Especially for the lead singer of a band.
It's true.
Right? Poets and porn stars. Great songs.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's interesting. You are the ultimate individualist. It's like you're a character from a Western.
Yeah, maybe. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd take that as a compliment. I love a Clint Eastwood film.
Is that where some of the friction comes, kind of in the modern society, what we were talking about earlier, for you? Like, do you feel more... Yeah,
Maybe. I find myself philosophically opposed to this Borg hive mind I find myself living in. Listen, I genuinely don't give a shit what anybody's worldview is, what their religious beliefs are. And I mean that. I really do mean that. There's a lot of people, for example, on the American right that claim to be about freedom and individuality, but what they're really about is their own point of view being a universal point of view everybody shares, right? I genuinely don't give a fuck. I don't care who you want to put your penis in. I don't care what God you worship. If you want to live in a hole in the ground and call yourself a hobbit, like, you have my blessing, I will help you do that. But the one thing I do value is the plurality of points of view. I want to live in the fucking Roman Empire, right? Where there is a different cult on every street corner, and you worship Apollo, or you worship fucking Diana, or you don't worship any of them, or you believe in like this Jewish guy from Palestine who did magic tricks and came back from the dead called Jesus, or any of the other fucking things. I don't care who you want to put your penis in, like in the Roman Empire. You could be gay, you could be straight, you could do whatever the fuck you wanted, right? But the plurality, there's like a freedom of plurality. I want to see that. So yeah, maybe it is a sort of rugged individualist point of view. I just want everybody else to be entitled to their individuality, even if it conflicts with mine. So a plurality of individualities.
Is there a scenario where the Borg thing works for you?
There isn't. There is no scenario in which my will should be subjugated to the will of the many or the others. Or yours.
What if everyone wants the Borg except you?
Cool. In a universe where there's a plurality of individuality, they can all join the hive mind. I'll be over here, having a wank. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get it.
Listen, if you want to live in a socialist utopia, fucking blessings to you. Go live in a socialist utopia. If you want to be part of the hive mind, go be part of the hive mind. I just want my right to have my point of view. And I would die for you to have your right to go be in the hive mind. But that's a two-way street.
Yeah. I get it.
All right, next topic.
You go.
I've seen you make many different kinds of art. In other words, art with different purposes.
Yes.
Sometimes it's like Guardians of Justice, right? There are sort of, deep philosophical themes going on in it, but ultimately it's a celebration of popular culture itself. It's a piss take and a celebration of popular culture.
Yes.
Right? And that's its purpose. That's its like self-declared celebratory purpose. And then other movies like The Voices, which is even though it's a comedy, it's a serious meditation on the nature of sanity versus insanity, right? Where does one begin and the other end? Which one is valid, sort of thing. All of that having been said, is ultimately the value of art simply entertainment? Or is there something more important we're trying to do and a higher purpose to serve?
So I don't know the answer to that.
You're one of the most accomplished artists in the history of the 21st century. Someone needs an answer to this question.
I don't know the answer to that. And I don't think it's possible to know the answer to that, right? Because something like Moby Dick,
Yep.
right, has lived on, was not a thing during its time, right? And the things that were popular during its time have faded away,
Sure.
right? Or have they faded away? Or did they influence a handful of people that then created
Made something
something else
great.
that made something else? That did,
Right.
so these kind of ebbs and flows and again the echoes through the halls of history. They're impossible to predict. So
I'm asking you about purpose, though.
I get it, but if your purpose is to do that, to create an echo through the halls of history, well, that's ego.
Is it? I would argue it's not ego. I'd argue it's bigger than ego, because ego's about you. I'm saying, create a work of art that changes the way, the very fabric of society, right?
Right.
Okay, so like, for example...
I want to influence
right,
society.
and that's why you make art.
No.
Go on.
I'm doing it because I enjoy the process of it.
That's beautiful.
That's it.
That's beautiful.
I'm not trying to influence anything or change anything.
But you
I
would
don't
be
have the
happy
power.
if it did.
No.
I think you do have the power. I think that artists are the only people that really have that power. More than politicians, more than philosophers. Who reads philosophical, treatises? I think it's
Sure.
artists that make that difference.
Sure. And whether it's a random work of art that ends up striking a chord generations later and changing everything, or it's a collective of artists all working at the same time, making, starting
Reshaping.
a movement or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. But the individual, as an individual, your ability to affect change on a global level, limited.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I don't. Okay. If I was to say to you, what is the soundtrack of Utopia? I would say 90% of people who've heard the song would say it's imagined by John Lennon. That's what it sounds like. Like, literally, those words are a thesis statement of what Utopia might look like. Right? Cool.
Sure. I wouldn't have gone there.
Where would you have
But-
gone? Shiny Happy People by R.E.M.
No, not Western music.
Okay.
I wouldn't have picked Western music.
Okay. That makes sense.
Right.
What would you have picked?
Like an Eastern song.
Yeah, but what song? Let's do like a clip of it on your fucking podcast.
Yeah, I'll play a clip of it. Right.
Brilliant.
Sally can wait. She knows it's too late.
that was amazing.
Yeah.
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 But you don't have an agenda. You're like, I just enjoy the process of making art and being an artist. That's what I'm interested in.
I'm trying to express myself as well in a way that I enjoy.
That's beautiful.
Right?
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Because if I'm trying to affect shit and go, no, we will all bend to this thesis I have because I'm right and I know and they don't. That's the same mindset that got the British East India Trading Company. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
but
the same.
I don't think that's necessarily the mindset, right? I mean, look, I don't know about you, but I find the only art I've ever made that really made an impact on anybody, whether it was a song or a screenplay or whatever, was always one that kind of spoke to a universal truth, usually universal truths that are bigger than me, that I don't live up to. So it's certainly not ego going, well, I've got this fucking cracked, right? I think we just sort of tap into a higher frequency when we're really in the groove, really making a piece of art. We're tapping into some higher frequency,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's ego, that's what I'm saying.
Sure. The act of channeling something from outside of yourself that comes from a higher frequency that allows you to create a piece of art that moves people.
Sure. Yes.
That is not ego.
Correct.
Wanting that to affect change and being tied to the result of it affecting change, that's ego.
Right. Okay. I can see that.
Right? Like, here's how I look at it. Another way of like looking at it. Oh, when you look at like birds, there's a rhythm birds fucking move at, right?
Right.
There's a rhythm fish move at
Sure.
together, you know?
Yeah.
I look at us in this dimension as we're like these vibrating molecules that are all vibrating differently because we now have different programs running and we have different inputs and we've been taught different things.
Yeah.
And we have different worldviews as a result of it. But we're
Right.
vibrating molecules constructing a narrative around ourselves as to like who we are and what we are.
That's true.
Yeah. So, like, what am I trying to do here? Like, create a piece of art that makes everyone vibrate at one frequency?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that's what, like, the whole reason why everybody goes to a fucking concert together or sits in a movie theater to watch a movie. We want to vibrate at the same frequency.
Okay. Shared experience
Right.
is different than me wanting to impose a worldview.
Right, but you keep reframing what I'm saying to you from this like tyrannical fascist point of view, and I don't think it has to be that. I'm saying Noel Gallagher wanted to create a moment where everybody felt it's okay to let go of the past in an aesthetic way, and wrote this song, right? Don't Look Back in Anger. When 100,000 people go to Wembley Arena to sing that song along with him, they are all vibrating at the same frequency.
For sure.
That's not like some tyrannical fascist, I'm
No.
going to oppose my point of view on the world and change it.
Yeah.
Now, a great piece of art because it vibrates on that different frequency.
Yeah.
What happened to that song after the Manchester bombings was when everyone was holding a candlelight vigil for that bombing. Thousands of people spontaneously broke into singing Don't Look Back in Anger.
Yes.
That became their theme song for the moment,
Yeah.
for forgiveness,
Right.
right? That's what I'm talking about. Not talking about like some fucking fascist, like, you will all listen to me kind of point
Right.
of view, but like create something beautiful that makes everybody resonate at that same frequency.
So I think music uniquely has the ability to do that.
More than any other art form.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Because what Noel Gallagher was creating was a sound bath, a vibrational sound bath. And then people at that concert have the download. They have the reference point of what that frequency feels like. And then they go out and they spread it and they spread it and they spread it.
You don't think film could do that?
I think film just operates a little differently. Look, film is a convergence of multiple art forms coming together to create a new art form.
Absolutely.
Right?
Drama, music, photography.
It's like converging
Right.
to diverge.
Okay.
In a way, film is more of a propaganda tool. That's why I'm going there when you're bringing up these things. And I just had an aha moment because I'm like, oh, Hal's talking about music. All your examples are music.
That's true. They all have been.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fucking true. But I think movies can do that too. I mean, I remember being in the theatre when I was maybe, I don't know, young fucking man. 18, 19. What's that fucking amazing film that won the Oscar, the Italian film? I want to say A Beautiful Life, but that's obviously not it. Do you know what fucking film I'm talking about? Italian film? Yeah, you know the one. Won the Oscar. There was like an Italian comedian played the lead.
Old movie, new movie?
Yeah, like sort of 90s. Life is Beautiful. Life is Beautiful! Do you ever see that film?
No.
Saw that film in the theatre. Beautiful film. Sort of about how this, if I remember it correctly, this father was trying to stop, or I think he was a father, was trying to stop this little boy basically the entire movie from being scared about what was happening with the arrival of Mussolini's troops and this, that, and the other by like creating these beautiful fantasies that were not reality. I remember watching that in the theatre, and I remember looking around, and every single human being, all these humans, these fucking beautiful humans who were Democrats and Republicans and white and black and brown and gay and straight, all these different identities, but they're all human beings crying their fucking eyes out in a darkened room and feeling like they wanted to reach out and touch the person next to them. I think films can do that. I don't just think it's songs. Or books. Listen, everybody who was 8 years old to 15 years old who were around when the Harry Potter books came out.
Yeah.
Like, that's redefined how they look at the fucking world. Those lessons, those morals, those thematic thrusts reshape them. I had a moment on my first date with this amazing woman that I am with, where I said to her,
Sarah.
Yeah, should we just talk about Sarah for a minute? She's fucking amazing. All about it.
She's great.
She's amazing, right? You met her the other night for the first time.
Yeah.
Gave me the bestie seal of approval on it. She's a good girl. A good girl, crazy about her. But anyway, I had this moment on our first date where I said to her, what's your happiest memory? And she stopped and she thought about it. I'm like, no, really, your happiest memory? Like, what moment would you think about if you were summoning your Patronus charm? Now, granted, I am a fucking nerd, but she knew exactly what I meant, right? She sort of burst into tears and her little eyes welled up. We all knew what that meant. I think books can do it. I think films can do it. I think songs can do it.
Yeah, they can create shared language.
I think it's more than that, though.
Yeah, for sure. But what I believe is songs, specifically because again, songs are shorter, right?
Sure.
So you could just turn on a song and it can transport you to that place.
That's true.
There's a reason rock stars, such as yourself, are treated like gods.
I think they're treated like gods because the rock star reminds everybody, like as a symbol, that freedom is possible. I think rock stars are free. Yeah. That's the whole vibe of a rock star, right? Jim Morrison throwing himself around a stage in a pair of leather fucking pants at a time when everybody was like going to the school formal. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Jimi Hendrix being this wild, amazing, beautiful black man in a fucking military outfit, fucking his guitar, right?
Absolutely.
They remind people that we are free.
Yes. Yeah. And they also have the ability to raise the vibration of a room.
Right.
Right?
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. I just think you're selling film short.
I'm not selling it short.
Dude.
It's different.
Here's the classic example. Example. Again, I keep referencing fucking movies and songs and shit from the 90s because I'm old, but I don't think anyone who's seen Braveheart doesn't have this little guy in the back of their fucking mind that if the shit ever hit the fan and they had to pick up a weapon and fucking save the day, wouldn't see Mel Gibson going like, freedom! Like, it's in us. It's in our programming now. That's vibrational.
Oh, yeah. That's different. But I think it's also in the mind, right? Like, so as an example of this.
Go
on. You've seen Star Wars Empire Strikes Back?
Fuck yes, a million times.
If I say the scene where Darth Vader says to Luke Skywalker, or whatever he said.
Sure. He never actually says.
I know he never actually said something else, right? Or whatever that scene is. But can you see that scene in your mind?
I can, yeah.
Yeah? And when you see that image, and it's in your mind right now?
Yep.
And when you're seeing that image, is it in a movie theater? Is it on a TV screen? Or are you in the image?
I'm in the image.
Yeah. So your mind is processing that as a memory,
Yeah, that's right.
right?
It's a memory.
It's a memory.
Yeah.
It's affecting you, but it's affecting you differently than music, right? So like when that image.
Yeah, you're right. Because if I think of Don't Look Back in Anger, there are maybe 100 examples of where I felt that listening to that song.
Yes.
I'm not married to any one
Yes.
moment of it, right?
Right. So now that same Star Wars, we get rid of that image,
Sure.
that fake memory that Lucas has incepted into you,
Yeah, has implanted into
Yeah.
my consciousness. Yeah.
and we start playing the John Williams score.
Oh, yes.
Will you feel something immediately?
Yes.
That's
Straight
the power
away.
of music.
You're totally
That's
right.
the power of
You're
music.
totally fucking right.
Right?
Now that's interesting though, isn't it? Because so much of our self-awareness is based on memory and experience. Like, I ask you almost any question, and you will have a memory attached to it. If I said, "Where did you grow up?" you will have pictures of in your mind of Hong Kong, of Singapore, of your boarding school you went to in America. Like, was it Rhode Island?
Yeah.
Like, you will have memories attached
sure.
to it. I ask you what your favorite food is. You'll think of your mum's onion bhaji or whatever the fuck you think of, right? By the way, your mum is fucking amazing cook, right? But so seeing as memories are so essential to the way we piece together our notion of ourselves in the world, why shouldn't movies have more of an impact?
Because it's deeper than the memory. The memory is worthless without the feeling, right?
And whereas music's sort of like distilled feeling.
Yes.
That's brilliant.
So, it's not just the image of Rhode Island; it's the feeling I have when I went there.
Right.
Right? It's not just the image of Hong Kong; it's the feeling I had when you went there. If you look at all of these, you just strip down all of these art forms. Right? You take like music, movies,
Yep.
and you take video games. 'Cause that's
Sure.
the new emerging art form.
Sure.
That's surpassed everything.
Totally.
Right? So here's how I see them differently. Video games. They can all affect change, right? But just a little differently. Like video games, it's like sports.
How do you mean?
Like a sporting event. You're actively playing a thing. It's
Right.
using the part of your brain
Sure.
that's like sports.
Sure. Except without the effort.
It's a different type of it. It's using
Sure.
a different, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
people who are really good at playing video games are like master athletes
Right.
in a different way,
Sure. Okay.
right? Movies is like, it's a different experience. It's like sitting around the campfire telling stories to your friends,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
It's like Al's going to get up there and orate and tell the story of the time his dad beat up a bunch of neo-Nazis like John Wick or Liam Neeson.
John Wick.
Right?
Dude. Yeah, why did I pick Liam Neeson? Would have been John Wick, surely. But anyway, continue.
Music is sitting around the campfire.
Humming and chanting and clapping
Yes.
and hitting a drum.
Right.
And I think it's probably more primal even because there was
Yes.
music before there was language.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to
I think
say.
you're right, mate. I think you're on the fucking money about
So
that.
if I say, ha, and then you match my tone, there's a connection that's happening on a cellular level.
Right. On a vibrational
Right,
level.
on a vibrational level.
Yeah.
We are vibrating molecules. So now we're vibrating at a similar frequency. We can shed the layers of bullshit.
Yeah,
If
that's
I
right.
start telling you the story of the time I got into a whatever with a whomever and did a this and a that, we're in our heads.
You're right. Okay.
Right?
I'm still on an emotional journey with you, but it's not as sort of instinctual and basic.
Driven by the mind.
So are we saying that music is the most superior form of art? Is it the highest form of art?
I don't know if there's a higher or a lower. I think I feel like things just exist, and the urge to categorize and figure out what the hierarchy is again the British East India Trading Company shit. You know what I mean?
I don't think so. I think it's basic. It's the way logics work, right? It's the way the mind itself computes. You're always organizing and categorizing everything. You're
No.
a fucking film producer and a writer.
No.
You're forever organizing and categorizing
No.
how important is this event to the story versus this event to the story. Maybe we get rid of this event and we make this event here. Like, you're constantly doing that.
It is a tool,
Okay.
but it's not the be all end all. Look, I realized something a couple of years ago in writing scripts, right? Because I used to be, I like the blockbuster thing. I like to be like, I was working on something like very plot driven.
Okay.
Right? Sci-fi thing, time travel. And I was always about logic.
Yeah, right. Like this, the logic doesn't add up in this time travel thing. If you went back in time and did that, this wouldn't happen.
Or then why would this person not know about that? And it's just logic. And then I had this aha moment where I realized like, oh, look, logic matters to an extent, but and I don't know how to verbalize it.
Emotional logic is superior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Emotional logic. And I said that to my writing partner. I said,
amazing,
dude, we can logic this to death and have all these great explanations, but a line of emotional realism, emotional truth will trump all the logic, all the logic.
Fucking percent. Right? Yeah.
I don't know how that relates to the thing that
I
we were
don't know
just
either,
saying,
but you make a really good point, and I'm really glad you said it, because that has been my ongoing and most enjoyable lesson as a screenwriter, is always finding the emotional logic. I'll tell you something really interesting. I'm not going to say what project it is, because it's kind of like in process, it's happening.
Yeah.
But I had this amazing thing where I really don't want to get myself in any trouble here. Okay, it's as though someone came to me and said, we'd like you to make a movie about making plastic bottles. Do you know anything about plastic bottles? And I went, I grew up with plastic bottles. My dad owned a plastic bottle factory. And they're like, great, you're the guy for the job. Go away and like figure out what the plot is, right? And I went away, and first of all, again, this is a lesson I keep learning. I started to think about, right, well, if it's plastic bottles, does it become a movie about like, plastic bottles falling in love, plastic bottles at war with other plastic bottles? Like, what is it? And I just sort of stopped and went, what do I want to feel?
Yes.
And as soon as I said, what do I want to feel? I figured out the pitch for this thing in probably about 7 minutes flat and sold it.
That is my process.
Brilliant.
I wouldn't have been able to ever articulate it until you just said that, but that's totally my process.
Yeah. How do I want to feel?
How do I want to feel? Yeah. And that's kind of how I navigate all of this as well. How do I want to feel?
Yeah, that's right.
Because I'm not focused on things that I can't control.
Right.
I'm not focused on things that are outside of my direct purview.
Right.
Right. I just don't want to be subjugated to things outside of myself. And so there's an individualism there, but I'm not leading into the ego where I'm determined to control what I cannot control.
No, but you're hoping that the thing that you wanted to feel by making the thing is the thing that people feel who witness the thing. That's what my point was.
It's a shared,
Yeah, you just wanted to share that feeling.
I want to share that feeling.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. That is art in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's art in a nutshell.